Imagine living in a world where everyone believed that the Earth was the center of the universe, and that humans were the only creatures created in the image of God. But then, suddenly, a shocking truth was revealed, overturning all established beliefs. This was not a science fiction story, but a moment in history that reshaped our place in the universe. Welcome back to the 70,000-year secret of humankind, where we explore the extraordinary journey of sapience. In the previous episode, we covered the milestones of the agricultural revolution, how humans went from nomadic tribes to empire builders. But today, we're entering a whole new chapter, one that not only changed the way we live, but also the way we see ourselves and our place in the universe, the scientific revolution. For thousands of years, most civilizations have subscribed to a single belief. The Earth is the center of the universe. The sun, moon, planets, and stars all revolve around us. Humans, as God's special creation, are naturally placed at the center of creation. This belief is not just a simple cosmological model, but also the basis for social, moral, and religious orders. Everything has a divine purpose, and that purpose often revolves around humans. But then, suddenly, a shocking truth was revealed, overturning all established beliefs. This was not a science fiction story, but a moment in history that reshaped our place in the universe. Until about 500 years ago, most civilizations have subscribed to a single belief. The Earth is the center of the universe. The sun, moon, planets, and stars all revolve around us. Humans, as God's special creation, are naturally placed at the center of creation. This belief is not just a simple cosmological model, but also the basis for social, moral, and religious orders. Everything has a divine purpose, and that purpose often revolves around humans. But around 500 years ago, the seeds of doubt began to germinate. This was not a doubt that came from rereading ancient scriptures, but from a completely new approach to knowledge, science. As Yuval Noah Harari explains in *Sapiens*, the key to the scientific revolution was not just the acquisition of new knowledge, but the admission of our ignorance. Instead of seeking answers in pre-established truths, science dared to ask, "I don't know," and thus began a relentless journey of discovery. Nicholas Copernicus and the first push. The first person to challenge this deeply ingrained belief was the Polish astronomer Nicholas Copernicus. In 1543, he published his work De Revolutionis Orbium Celestiaris on the revolutions of the heavenly spheres. In it, Copernicus proposed a new cosmological model. The sun, not the Earth, was the center of the solar system. The planets, including the Earth, revolved around the sun. This was such a radical idea that for decades it was ignored or dismissed as a purely mathematical hypothesis, avoiding direct confrontation with the Catholic Church. Galileo Galilei, Experimental Evidence and Crisis. The person who really transformed Copernicus's model from a hypothesis into a dramatic revolution was Galileo Galilei. In the early 16th century, Galileo improved his telescope and pointed it at the sky. What he saw changed everything. He observed moons orbiting Jupiter, proving that not all celestial bodies orbit Earth. Phases of Venus, similar to the phases of the moon, which could only be explained if Venus orbited the sun. And sunspots and mountains on the moon, proving that celestial bodies were not as perfect as previously thought. This empirical evidence caused a profound crisis. If the Earth was not the center, did man's special position given by God still make sense? The Roman Catholic Church reacted violently. It considered heliocentrism heresy because it contradicted the Bible and threatened the established social and religious order. Galileo was put on trial, forced to recant his findings, and spent the rest of his life under house arrest. But the seed had been sown, and scientific truth could not be locked away forever. Kepler, Newton, and the mechanical universe. The revolution continued with Johannes Kepler, who used Tycho Brahe's meticulous observational data to demonstrate that the planets did not orbit the sun in perfect circles, but rather in ellipses. Kepler's laws of planetary motion provided a precise mathematical description of the universe. And then came Isaac Newton, with his law of universal gravitation. Newton not only explained why the planets moved as they did, but also demonstrated that the same attractive force, gravity, governed both the falling apple on Earth and the motion of celestial bodies. The advent of Newtonian physics transformed the universe into a grand clockwork, operating according to predictable mathematical laws, not the whims of gods or supernatural forces. This was a huge shock to the human psyche. We were no longer the center of a universe created specifically for us. Instead, we were just a tiny part of a vast, mindless machine, operating according to cold, impersonal rules. Deep meaning, from the center of the universe to a grain of sand. The realization that the Earth is not the center of the universe is much more than a shift in the astronomical paradigm. It is a blow to the imagined order that humans have constructed over millennia. Humans are no longer special in the cosmic sense. We're just a species of primate on a tiny planet orbiting an insignificant star in a galaxy of billions of other stars, which itself is just one of billions of galaxies in an incredibly vast universe. This humble reserve, as Harari calls it, is the foundation of scientific thinking. Rather than being complacent with what we know, science encourages curiosity, healthy skepticism, and a constant search for new knowledge. It forces us to confront the fact that the universe does not necessarily conform to our wishes or definitions. It operates according to its own rules, and it is our job to discover and understand those rules. However, there is an interesting paradox. Although science has dethroned us from the position of the center of the universe, at the same time, it has given us unprecedented power. By understanding the laws of the universe, humans can begin to exploit them. The understanding of gravity, motion, and the laws of nature have paved the way for great inventions, from simple machines to modern technology, completely changing the way we live, work, and interact with the world. We may not be the center of the universe, but we have become the architects of our own world. The moment of realizing that we are not the center of the universe is not a moment of collapse, but a moment of enlightenment. It is an invitation to look at the world with new eyes, to accept its complexity and mystery, and to embark on an endless journey of discovery. From the meaningless, insignificant animals that Harari describes at the beginning of the book, Sapiens has turned cosmic humility into the most powerful driving force for its development. The truth about the small place of humans in the universe has opened a new era where knowledge is no longer limited by old beliefs. But how exactly has science accelerated history to the dizzying speed it is today? And how have those discoveries transformed human society? Don't miss the next episode. How scientific discoveries accelerated history. To find out.